And then in your upper left-hand corner, Craig, of your screen, it says live on YouTube.
Yep, we're good. You did it. Woohoo. All right, so if you can make, I guess, who do we want to make host now? Anita?
So yeah, I mean, we could. Why don't we just return host to me for right now? So if you want to go to Zoom 1, Craig, you can make me host.
All right. Toast.
All right, and I'm going to make Craig a co-host.
And me too, please.
And I'm going to make
Betsy
a co-host.
On that YouTube thing, then once I'm seeing YouTube, the regular YouTube screen on my channel, then I would just start playing the video. Is that?
It will start playing, yeah, and you want to mute it, of course, because it's 5 seconds behind.
Okay.
Right.
So that's what I do. It launches it, and then I hit mute on that one, so I'm not hearing it. But yeah, you can just let it run in the background. Usually we have a title slide, so as soon as Anita's ready.
Yeah, she said she'd be ready right here at 9:30. I actually asked her to stop for long enough to you, and I could work through all this, but I can ask her to restart that title slide if you want.
Yeah, ideally we don't go live until, like I said, yeah, we have that title slide, and that way.
I'm gonna let Leah Mills in because I know who she is, so I'm gonna admit her.
Okay, and I'm going to go on to YouTube myself too. And
now, should I still be, even though I'm co-host now, should I still be seeing this live on YouTube at the top of my Zoom screen?
Yes, well, everyone sees that. All participants will see that, so it's not a surprise or it's not a secret. Same with when it's recorded, you're going to see that as well.
Right.
Is it spotlighted? No, I see. I'm in a different view.
So then the live on YouTube, going through that procedure I just did, that's making this meeting live. Is that correct?
Right. That's so if you go, are you on the YouTube channel as well?
I just closed it, but I can.
Okay, but you can see that it's us talking. I mean, we're a lot,
Welcome, Leah. I'm sorry I did not admit you right away. We had a couple other people joining early, so I'm getting you in now. Can you hear us, Leah?
Thank you. That's fine.
All right, excellent. And you'll hear a little bit of chatter for the next half an hour, as you're well aware. All right, we have 2 additional people in attendance, Leah. You might be able to help us with this. I've actually muted the room, so I might be able to find out, but there is one called VBA 94734, and then there's a phone number, which is an 804-338-4671.
VBA has been waiting a while.
I'm sorry?
Let that person in.
You want me to go ahead and let them in?
I would say yes.
Figure out who they are.
Oh, go ahead.
There we go. All right, so we have now admitted another participant who has no real name, so we're trying to figure out who they are. Okay. So person's phone number ending in 4671. Anyone's phone number ending in 4671, if you could unmute and let us know who that is. I see you unmuted. Can you talk to me again? Who's this?
David, hi, this is Clay, the VDDHH.
Excellent. And I assume you're on with computer as well, which is probably VBA 9734?
Yes.
All right, I'm going to merge you and your phone number. Stand by. Sorry for taking so long to bring you in, Clay. We had a few things going on here this morning. The technical rehearsal will happen between 9:30 and 10, or the technical setup, so that's really what you'll be listening to.
Right.
Let's merge with audio. We're going to merge here. And Clay is now one entity. There we go.
So David, when you did that, I see the merge with audio. I saw that as an option.
Yeah. And when I did that, it'll pop up and it'll show me the various phone numbers that are there. So once I've identified what that number is, I can affiliate that with a name.
Okay.
And then Clay, just to give you a little something that you can do while you're here, if you hover over your, I don't know if you've done this, but if you click on participants at the bottom, it'll show you all the participants on the right-hand side. You're probably familiar with that. And then if you hover over VBA 94734, it'll allow you to rename it. So if you want to rename it to guest or Clay or anything you want to rename it to. Or we can leave it at VBA. All right, so Leah does not need to be a co-host, is that correct?
No.
Good, all right.
You got the conference room on now, right? Or
Yeah,
has
the
that been
conference
on?
room is DARS HQ 103, 105. They do not need to be made co-hosts.
That is correct.
Not be.
That's correct. I'm only
Thank
here to listen. Is Anita on yet?
Yes.
Anita, Monday is here. If you click in the lower toolbar, you click on participants, it'll show up on your right-hand side and it'll show you the cast of
Oh,
folks that are here.
Kathy's-
Kathy Hayfield's coming in, and so is Alan Hargrave. Should I admit them at this point?
I admitted Kathy just because.
Absolutely.
She's
Let
our
me go unmute
commissioner.
the room for a second.
I don't know Alan Harper. So.
Yep.
All right, Kathy, are you on? Let's see, we have to unmute.
Hello, Clay Bowen?
Hi, Kathy.
Hi there.
Yeah, I think Clay is just listening in on us. We have some questions about our captioning services and such, and how we're using it.
Uh-huh. Okay, so I just was there and I'm not there.
All right. Are you using video, Kathy, or?
I just disappeared. Hold on. There I am.
You're joining now. I'm going to make you the host because we've already started.
There you are.
Yeah.
All right. So Donna's coming in. I'm going to bring her in. I'm going to make her host. So see, here comes Donna. And Donna knows not to join by computer audio because she's a pro. Because she's using the microphones in the room. Here we go. We're going to make her the host. Donna, when I make you the host, can you make Zoom 1 the co-host, please? She may not have heard me.
Oh, and Craig is on because of Facebook.
YouTube.
YouTube.
We got
YouTube.
live
Hi
streaming.
there.
Yes. Because I'm going to be on vacation next week. So we got he's my backup to,
You get to
Live
take a
stream.
vacation?
I get to go help my son move. That's my
Oh,
my
not
job.
again. Yeah.
Yeah, he's moving to a new apartment for college. Yeah, he's still at school. So
What a good mama.
I'm glad he's staying.
Yes.
What nice weather to be moving in.
I bet it's Michigan.
Well, Michigan should be beautiful. Oh, I
Oh,
can't
okay.
wait. Go to the lake.
Thank you
Although
for
I
making me
think
the
there's a
co-host.
heat wave everywhere.
Mhm.
All right, we've got Alan Hargraves and Joan Acito. Are they both board members? Excellent. I will leave them where they are for you guys to message. Thank you.
All right, so we need a screen, the agenda, I guess is what Donna working
Yeah,
on.
I'm going to go ahead and ask Anita to do that at this point.
All right, you've got me. I'm gonna go find something else to do for a little while.
Okay.
Nice background, Craig.
That way you can't see the mess in my room.
Yeah. I just make sure I don't move my camera around at all.
All right. And eventually we'll spotlight, all right, David?
Hello, Commissioner Hayfield. This is David McKenzie. I was just asked by Donna to remind you that we are live streaming right now. We do this early in the meeting, but it actually goes live with the board members when they are admitted at the top of the hour.
Okay, good to know. She's afraid I might say something I shouldn't say.
I think she's more afraid of me, but that's. I think we all just need to be aware that we are streaming out live, and the room itself is muted, but we're not because this is a tech channel in the background. So if you want to just stay muted, that's perfect.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Muting
I
away.
don't need my mask when I'm in my office. I'm socially distant from Craig right now.
Well, David, remind me how, we don't have ASL today, right? So What are we spotlighting?
We
At
do.
least-
They're joining us remotely. So we're going to find out
Oh, they
who
are.
the hell people are.
Okay, well, Rhonda's joining us too, so I'll go ahead and
I'll
meet
go ahead
her.
and meet Rhonda, or you can do that. I'm going to go talk to them about ASL. Give me a minute.
Okay. All right, and Debbie and Marguerite, just thank you for your patience. Thank you for standing by. I will get the go-ahead as far as, when the meeting starts and when we'll actually need the captioning to begin.
I just worry for a living, which is why they keep me around. So Donna's going to handle that. She's going to find it. She's got knows who the ASL people will be. She will admit them and she'll make them co-hosts. Nothing like grabbing a bottle of water that's been here for 3 weeks. We do have something in the chat. Let's see what's down there. There you go. So Anita was able to chat to people in the waiting room, just so we know that, Betsy, that they can do that and let people know what we're doing and while they're still in the waiting room, which is a great feature. I'm going to add that to the list.
Logged on early to be sure that there were no, errors.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and unmute them briefly just to make sure that the mute unmute feature is working properly because it was a little sticky last time. Can everybody hear me? This is David in the conference room. Can you hear me now, Betsy? Do I look like I'm muted in the?
We're on room conference
Yeah,
room.
1 3 when I was on.
No, we're not muted.
All right, Betsy, this is David in the conference room. Can you hear me?
Betsy's muted.
Betsy's muted. Betsy,
Kathy, can you hear us?
Actually just went down back to her office.
I'm good.
Elizabeth, I can hear y'all.
Thank you,
Excellent.
Elizabeth.
Betsy.
Welcome.
Excellent. All right. No, I don't think so. Me doing that?
Yes,
Yeah.
this is for, it's actually for, System Admin Appreciation Day.
Okay. I didn't do my hand modeling pretty today.
Ah, shit.
That's fine.
Look, I'll come
I
back.
can do it again.
Yeah. Do that, 'cause this is exactly what I need.
There you go. So Craig, we have another meeting of this type on Friday. I would encourage you to attend then if you're available, because repetition on new stuff is always great.
What time is it on Friday?
Let me check my schedule.
I've got I've got a doctor's appointment from about 11 to 1, depending on how quickly they get me in and out.
Yeah, and as long as you just get in on the front end, let me see what time that is. I've got my calendar here. Stand by. Back. Can't believe it's only from 1 to 2. There's no way it's 1 to 2. I'll dig into it, Craig, and let you know. I've got a placeholder for 1 o'clock. It may be from like 1 to 4.
Yeah, DMAC, I think it's 1 to 4.
Yeah.
That's brain.
Thank you. Yeah, I
think it's
gotta
1 to 4.
check with Donna and see if she sent out that invitation yet. I'll go get that stuff squared away. Make it a note. Thank you.
But yeah, if you
So
want,
yeah,
David,
Craig, if you want to join us for the start of that around 1, if you're available, that's great.
yeah, go ahead and you know,
Send
send
you
me
an
an
invite.
invite.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. As soon as I get this together.
And I will. And you know, for you or Betsy, if you have any of this stuff, you know, written down, as
We
far
do.
as-
We have a best practices protocol document that we're working on. So we're actually going to get together and work on that again. So that might be good to pull you into that meeting and have you kind of go through that as we add
Sure.
notes.
Yeah.
And then there's another one, Craig, on Monday from 9:15 to 12:30. So if you really wanted to get feet wet and do repetition, I will send you that, and you can, if you're available, you can attend that as well.
Yeah, put me on that too, and I'll
Yep.
be there if I can.
Yep.
As of right now, Monday looks good.
Okay, good. Craig, you've been invited to both Friday and Monday. All right, here we go.
Okay.
All right, the mics should be unmuted. If anybody out in Zoom land can hear me talking to you, can you let me know if you can hear me? Hello?
I can hear you.
Anybody? You hear me? Excellent.
Yep.
Love it when a plan comes together. All right, I'll put you back on mute.
Okay.
All right.
This angle. Okay, hold on.
Good deal. All right. And just so everybody knows, we are T minus 13 minutes to lift off. I want to remind everybody who is on the call, if you can self-mute yourself. We do have a little bit of background rumble, and it'll help with the conference if you're muted until you need to speak. Hello, Commissioner. We do seem to have an open mic at your location. If you go ahead and mute that. Excellent. Yeah, that mic is still open. Perfect. Thank you.
Oh, and maybe that's why she doesn't hear me.
Yep, you are unmuted now.
Good morning, Angela. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I am well, thank you. And I see Tara's with us too. Good morning, Tara.
Yes, good.
Yeah, you're spotlighted. Okay.
Just let Chris Lavish know.
I thought I did. Hang on a second.
Oh, I just did it.
Well, I did it already. All right. Let's see if we can. All right.
In about 4 minutes, you're gonna want to hit record, just a reminder.
Thank you, because I didn't set the, thank you. I did not send the, set the alarm. I got sidetracked. Shirley, did you test your audio? Did you say something?
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Does it work?
Yes, yes, we can hear you.
I
Okay.
love it when you say good morning, you lean towards the laptop.
I know. It's just kind of one of those weird Zoom video things that you do.
Yes,
I'm not gonna be able to see you guys unless I log on.
right, but really, once you log on, unless you,
So is Kathy talking, I can see Kathy. Am I gonna be able to see her up there?
no, because Angela,
We're not gonna see any of
the
the.
interpreters are going to be
I
spotlighted.
don't see the screen. Okay.
Okay, who is iPhone Jim? Oh, is that Jim?
No, I'm not sure. It was,
Donna,
Yes?
I think that's Jim Finnerty. He was having trouble getting into his email and he may be live streaming it. I'm not exactly sure what he's doing, but
Okay.
he was having trouble getting into his email.
Gotcha.
But he's
I'll let him
here. He's here.
Okay.
and-
All right, thank you. And I see, Chris, you're in, but you don't have any audio set up. You're not connected. Which you can't actually answer because you're not connected to audio. So I just want to test your audio for other members. Teresa, can you unmute yourself and say hi?
Good morning.
Good morning. We heard from Robin. Megan, how about you? Can you unmute yourself and say hi?
Good morning.
Good morning. Chuck?
Good morning. Happy New Year.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not so sure about that yet. Joanne?
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Joanne. Alan?
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. Jim? You still there, Jim? Yeah, there you are. Jim, I'm going to unmute you. Well, maybe not. No, it won't let me unmute you. And Chris, are you connected to, who's Chris? No, hi Chris, where'd it go? Chris, you're still not connected to audio.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Jim, is that you?
Yeah, okay,
Good morning,
great.
Jim. Welcome, I'm glad you could join us.
Thank you very much.
Is there anybody on the committee that I missed?
To ask for you, Chris.
Teresa? Yes, Teresa, yep.
Thank you.
Jason.
Hello.
Oh, Jason, I'm sorry. I don't know why I thought I heard you.
We heard him earlier. We were getting that straight.
Guys, it's Chris Lavish. I was here. I was just in the other room with Jim Finnerty, so I couldn't reply. So I'll let
Gotcha,
you
Chris. Well, glad that you're on audio now too.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you, guys.
don't like not seeing all that. I don't like not seeing all that.
So then log in. I can see them on the side.
Oh, yeah, that's normally how you see it. That's 422-874. Here come Dale coming in late.
All right, so in about 2 minutes, we're gonna get started and I'll start recording. But for now, does anybody have any technical questions? Okay, well,
Shirley, I'm gonna go over the housekeeping things to begin with. And
Yeah.
then, once we get to that point, for the welcome and roll call, so then you'll take over from there.
I know.
Okay.
Just make sure you mute your, and you don't join by audio, just X out of it. Okay. All right, so I think we have everybody in, right? Because I need to lock out the meeting. Let's see how to lock it out. I've got everybody here, that on there, so I'm gonna lock out the meeting. David, is it okay if I lock out the meeting? Do we have anybody else we're waiting that's joining us to test it?
You give us thumbs up.
Okay.
That's fine with me. If you want to lock that out and get ready to record, that's perfect.
Okay, locking the meeting. We've locked the meeting. All righty, and then I will start to record. All right, we are recording. All right.
1 minute, and I guess we'll start in 1 minute. Rhonda said she's not seeing the captioning.
Did you hear that, David? Rhonda's not.
I did not hear that. Please say again.
She's starting now. Yep, she began, so we're good.
Okay.
We just have to turn on the caption, closed caption, show subtitles.
There you go.
Okay.
Okay.
She said they're on.
Okay.
Okay. All right, well, it is 10 o'clock, so thank you all for joining us today. I'm going to go ahead and start by going over some housekeeping things. I believe I sent that out to the committee, but I want to review that one more time. Okay, and I'm screen sharing. Why is it not screen sharing now?
You're on.
I know, I'm trying to go to the next. There we are. All right, I got it. Okay, I need to read a few things before we get started. So due to the active state of emergency, this is an electronic meeting pursuant to item 4-0.01 of the 2020 Appropriation Act. Meeting notice has been provided. The meeting is being recorded and minutes are being taken. Donna, you got it recording? Okay.
Yes.
All votes will be conducted via a roll call of voting members. Members are participating via Zoom. Meeting material is posted under the Employment Service Organization Steering Committee's meeting tab at the link posted in the slide. Members of the public are able to live stream this meeting via the DARS YouTube page. Please be advised that if the stream is interrupted, we will need to pause the meeting until it is restored. Public comment will be accepted by email to the attention of Anita Mundy, Provider Program Specialist and staff to this committee. Public comments that were received by July 17, 2020 will be read or if lengthy summarized during the meeting when we reach that agenda item. For all votes, we will do a roll call and you will be asked to indicate support, yay or yes, opposition, nay or no, or abstain. Working through the Zoom functions on the slide. Okay. Please make sure that you mute yourself unless talking. Press and hold the space bar to temporarily unmute. Please keep your video on. Use chat to let us know of any tech issues. Use chat to ask or answer questions. Use reactions, thumbs up, equal agreement, clap to raise your hand or to speak. And view options in this area, you can set yourself. Some features will be set by the host. Okay. There is an ASL interpreter available for today's meeting. If you would like to view the real-time captioning of today's meeting, please click on CC button of the menu bar at the bottom and select Show Subtitles. Captioning is not automatic for members in the Zoom. You will need to turn it on. For those watching via YouTube, captioning will be provided with the streaming. Lastly, I'd like to thank the DARS video teleconferencing team and the DARS communication team for making this electronic meeting possible.
We can add one more prior to speaking. This is Donna. If you can say your name so we know who's speaking.
Okay. So I just want to review the purpose of the ESOSC. Oops. The purpose of the Employment Service Organization Steering Committee is to report to and advise the Commissioner on policy, funding, and the allocation of funds to employment service organizations for long-term employment support services and extended employment support services pursuant to code, and it's not showing up.
It's okay.
51.5-169.1. Wasn't showing on my screen. Okay, at this point, I want to hand it over to Shirley Lyons, the ESOSC Committee Chair.
Okay, due to the pandemic, Governor Northam has approved that notwithstanding any other provision of law, any public body, including any state, local, regional, or regulatory body may meet by electronic communication means without a quorum of the public body physically assembled at one location when the governor has declared a state of emergency in accordance with 44-146-17. So we are doing Employment Service Organization Steering Committee via Zoom, and I would like to call the meeting to order at, I lost my clock, so somebody tells me what time it is.
10:05.
Thank you. 10:05. First thing on the agenda is to do a roll call. So we need to do that for the record. So I will call people's name. If you would unmute yourself and state that you are here, we would appreciate that. Robin Metcalf.
Here.
Jim Finnerty.
Here.
Chuck McElroy.
Present and accounted for.
Alan Hargraves.
Here.
Joanne Aceto.
Here.
Megan Bergen.
Here.
Teresa Hall.
Here.
Chris Lavich.
Present.
Jason Harper.
Present.
And then I have the following here from the Department of Rehabilitative Services. Anita Mundy.
Here.
Kathy Hayfield.
Here.
Dale Batten.
Here.
Donna Benessi.
Here.
Leah Mills.
I don't think Leah is joining us. I don't think Leah or Catherine is joining us today.
Okay. Now, do I need to introduce others or how do we do that?
No.
Okay.
No, just continue.
Okay. Normally 5 members must be physically present, but as I read, we've been able to waive that. All members of the committee are here, so that is a quorum. We have established our quorum. We need to review the meeting minutes from January 7th, which was our last meeting, and review our agenda. So minutes from the last meeting were emailed out to all committee members. If I could ask committee members to let me know if they have any adjustments or amendments to the proposed meeting member minutes, and if no additions, then I will need a motion to approve the minutes from January 7th. Are there any corrections to the minutes? Hearing none, I'll ask for a motion.
This is Chuck, move to approve.
A second.
Second, it's Joanne Aceto.
And we need to approve the minutes via a roll call vote. So I will read their names. Please let us know yay, nay, or abstain. Robin Metcalf,
Yay.
Jim Finnerty,
Yay.
Chuck McElroy,
Yay.
Alan Hargraves,
Yay.
Joanne Aceto,
Yes.
Megan Bergen,
Yes.
Teresa Hall,
Yay.
Chris Lavich,
Yay.
Jason Harper.
Yay.
And as the chairperson, I also vote yay, so the minutes are approved. We would like to review the agenda. We did send out the agenda. So at this time, the agenda is presented for adoption. It is in order for any member to move to amend the proposed agenda by adding any item that the member desires to add or by proposing any other change. As the chair, I would like to propose that we remove the second comment period since we are live streaming and there is no opportunity for live comment. Any public comment submitted will be read during the first comment period. So I need to hear from any committee member who would like to add anything to the agenda or change the agenda in any way. Hearing none, I'd like to have a motion to approve the agenda as presented with the amendment as proposed.
Shirley, can you go over the purpose of your amendment again? The deletion of the public comment, second public comment.
Sure. The public comment period, because we're live streaming, people cannot make public comment during the meeting. They were requested to make public comment prior to July 17th. So any comments being made will be read during the first comment period. So there wouldn't be any additional need for a second comment period.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions or amendments to the proposed agenda?
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
And that was Robin.
Yes, ma'am.
Second,
Megan seconds.
thank you. Now, we need to vote via roll call. So I will read your name. Please say yay or nay or abstain. Robin Metcalf,
Yay.
Jim Finnerty,
Yay.
Chuck McElroy,
Yay.
Alan Hargraves,
Yay.
Joanne Aceto,
Yes.
Megan Bergen,
Yes.
Teresa Hall,
Yay.
Chris Lavich,
Yay.
Jason Harper,
Yay.
and as Chair Shirley Lyons, I also vote yay. So the agenda is now approved. Okay. All right, now we go into public comment period. Anita, has there been any public comment submitted?
No, there has not. There was no public comment received prior to July 17th or to date.
All right, thank you. That moves us into the next part of the agenda, which is a presentation from Donna Benessi. So Donna, I will turn it over to you.
Thank you, Shirley. No presentation. You all should have the handouts that we sent, and all of the handouts are on our website for any members of the public to view. I will start with the first thing on the agenda, which is the fiscal year 20 reallocations. And that was sent to you last evening. I didn't know if there was any questions. As you all know, we covered 100% of expenses for fiscal year 20. We did, at the end of fiscal year 20, had a total of well, I don't have the exact amount on my, with me, I should have had that. $1.7 million balance. That was significantly impacted by COVID-19. The balance, the projected balance at the end of the third quarter, which I thought I had open on here and I don't, so give me a second, was closer to $1 million. And then as a result of COVID-19, that balance grew to close to $1.7 million. But that was a direct impact of COVID-19. I am looking for that last final spreadsheet. Are there any questions on the reallocations?
Donna, this is Chuck. Are you up for hearing a couple arithmetic errors?
Certainly, Chuck, yes. Yes, sure.
At the risk of ticking off.
Where are you on the reallocations?
Yeah. For the latest reallocations for career supports of Northern Virginia, showed at the beginning, allocation of 10,000, reallocation of 19,453.75.
Yes, and there's a couple of those, Chuck, and you know what, you're right, I need to put that in there. What happened was our system funded some of the outstanding balance before reallocation. So that 44,100 is accurate as the ending allocation, but I need to update that. Thank you. Some of my numbers didn't work out, and I think you're gonna help me understand why. I will note that 19,000 should be 34,100 as a reallocation, but our system paid some of it early before we caught that glitch in the system. And that happened to a couple of providers. I believe it happened to Henrico as well.
So surely you need to cut work source to check for that difference.
Yes, it did. So thank you, Chuck.
Donna, this is Jason. You said that there was a balance of 1.7 million with lettuce and EES.
Yeah, I need to get that exact calculation because now I have to update some of these numbers. It was closer, I think, believe 1.6 million, but I'll need to look at these numbers on the spreadsheet once again because I realized I didn't add in some of the balance that was paid early.
Okay, and just adding up the COVID relief round 1 and 2, it came up to 1.574 million. So I didn't know if you all spent all of that or if some of that went to the admin or where the remainder.
Some of that went to the admin. It was about $75,000 that we held back just in case of any errors. And because of, we didn't, some organizations, and let's talk about COVID-19 when we get there. But yes, there was there was a small balance that was left over. Other questions on the reallocations?
So Donna, this is Shirley, just to clarify. So you're saying that the balance is prior to the payout of the COVID-19 emergency funds?
Yes, those have been kept completely separate.
Thank you.
Other questions on reallocations? And Chuck, if you see any more of those, would you just shoot me an email and I'll make sure that I correct those and get these sent out again and posted?
Those were the only two. on Henrico, it shows up in the EES.
Right. So, do you all have, are you all able to hear me okay? Are you having any problems hearing me?
Yes, this is Kathy. You sound very far away. Can you speak more directly into a mic?
I don't know. I'm in the big room.
Yeah.
David, any help on there? Okay, I'll try and talk louder. I don't even know where the mics are in the room, but I'll try and talk louder.
Mics are all on the ceiling, so if you
Okay.
look up a little bit when you speak, if you have to, that's where they are. Those black dots on the ceiling are all mics.
Oh, those black dots are mics, huh?
Yeah, but the
Okay.
closest one to you is straight ahead.
Right.
That one's gonna be too far behind her, so you want to.
Oh, that one.
Yep, that's your
Okay.
mic. Thanks.
All right. So let's move on to, I don't have the statistics up there. So let's talk about the stats. And I will say I'm still finalizing these. These are not final, the stats. And I will say that because with the new system, we've had to work on the reports and we found some glitches in the reports. So these are not 100% final. And once they are final, so they're preliminary, I literally got the last number this morning and I added that into mine and that was the average hours billed. But these are preliminary. I want to run the reports one more time just to finalize it and review everything before we put the final stamp on them, especially with the allocations, the balance, and what was spent. I need to just double check numbers. It being the first year for this system, we found some glitches in it. But I'm pretty confident in most of the numbers. And I will get that in the next week or so, finalizing out to everybody. I'm not expecting anything major to change. This is minor stuff that might change. Was there any questions on the statistics? The number that I added on lettuce this morning was the average monthly hours billed, and that is 2.31. And then on the EES statistics, the average monthly hours billed was 2.71. And as you can see, and I'm looking at the EES statistics right now, as you can see, if you look at our production statistics, we've had an increase in average hourly wages for both individuals that are earning less than 100% productivity and individuals that are earning above 100% productivity. We've also had an increase in average monthly wages for individuals who are earning above 100% productivity, a slight decrease for individuals earning less than 100%, a slight decrease in hours worked for individuals earning less than 100% productivity, and an increase in those who are paid above 100% productivity. And I will say these stats are all inclusive of the full year. So we do know that COVID-19 has impacted these statistics. Looking at the lettuce stats, similar what we've seen in the EES stats, we did have, we had an increase in wages for individuals earning above 100% productivity, but we did have a slight decrease for individuals earning less than 100% productivity. However, the hours for both relatively remain the same. There was a slight decrease for individuals earning less than 100% productivity, but for the most part, the hours have remained the same. Are there any questions on the stats, or is there anything that anybody wants me to review in more detail? We did have a slight increase in the average annual cost per person in lettuce for SE hourly, and we had a pretty good decrease on the daily costs, going from $63.60 down to $6,058, and an increase in the SE hourly to $11.47 per year.
Don, this is Chuck. It's more of a comment than a question, but looking at the primary disabilities, fairly significant jump in the ID population from 51% to 57%.
And that is on the EES stats.
Correct.
Yes. And I don't know why. I just finished these yesterday, so I haven't been able to look at the reasons why that's occurred. Any other comments? Robin, no, this is not on a slide. This was stuff that was emailed out last night to you all and has been posted on our website.
This is Jason. This is a comment, well, and a question. There, just to clarify with the lettuce stats, there were 77 ESOs in 19 and 69 in 20. So what, are there just less providers? Did providers go out of business or?
No, I need to update that. One of the problems we had with the reports is we've had, and I'm going to talk about this in the allocation part, we had organizations that had multiple vendor numbers that combined their vendor agreements last year. And I started running the reports after that occurred. So that was part of the glitch in the system. So they had to go back in the system to run the reports prior to when those ESOs merged, and that number is when the ESOs merged. So I think it's more like 76. We did have one provider that when it didn't necessarily go out of business but merged, it was two Goodwills. That one Goodwill took over another Goodwill, so I think it's more like 76. But thank you. I will update that number. That was a big issue with our reports, is that once those organizations merged in the system, so did all the data for the year before. So it was really hard to pull that data apart. So that's why I need to run all these reports again now that we've been able to separate them and have those reports run for me through basically a data dump from prior to when we merged.
So Donna, does that mean in 2021, there will actually be less ESOs because of those merges?
Yes.
Okay.
Other questions on the stats? And once we rerun all these reports again and finalize and double check all these numbers, I will actually send this back out to you all. I can't run the reports myself. I have to have our developer do it because of the way that the information is now in the new system. So I need to be working with her to get those all rerun.
Donna, I'm sorry, Donna, this is Shirley. I did have one just other question, I guess. It looks like in the EES, we went from 38% of people in the community to 29%. Is that correct?
I believe so, and here's the reason why. Because if you look at the SE hourly individuals, they were last fiscal year were 102 individuals were receiving SE hourly through EES, and it dropped down to 70 because no individuals can be added on to EES roles in individual community competitive employment unless they're transitioning out of sheltered employment. So those dropped significantly.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Other questions before we move on? Okay, I'm going to move on to the fiscal year 21 allocation methodology. When I was after I had done the reallocations and we were working on the allocation methodology, I was noticing that, well, we learned that COVID-19 had a significant impact on on everybody's services. Some organizations not as hard as others. Actually, some had the same expected billing as we thought they would, but others did not. So what I did was I ran this based upon 2 different scenarios. And the first scenario on your allocations, fiscal year 21 allocations page, is based upon using the third quarter projections. And then the second column is based upon using the fiscal year 20 actual. It did impact the rolling average for a number of organizations. And the reason why I did it based upon the projections as well was to show you what it would be more reflective of actual if COVID-19 didn't happen. So our recommendation is to do this based upon the third quarter projections rather than the fiscal year 20 actual. Are there any questions on that? Anything you want clarified? This is something that I guess we'll need a vote.
I was just going to say, do we need to vote on your proposal?
Yes.
Okay. So committee, is there any questions or concerns about utilizing what on my page would be the first 2 columns, allocations based on third quarter projections, as the 2021 allocations for all organizations?
And this is using, right, this is for fiscal year 20 using those projections in the 3-year rolling average. And it's not a huge impact. It is more significant for some organizations than it is for others, especially in lettuce.
This is Joanne speaking. It does seem a fairer way to do the allocations, Donna.
Donna, quick question. For organizations that haven't used any of their lettuce or ES dollars, how will that reallocation work for those organizations?
They will continue on. Oh, that was another question I had. Thank you for pointing that out, Alan. They will continue to receive that 10,000, and this upcoming year, they will enter into that 3-year rolling average after fiscal year 21. And essentially, if they haven't utilized their funds by then, their 3-year rolling average will be 0, and they will not get an allocation according to this methodology in fiscal year 22.
Okay, that was my thinking as well. Okay, thanks for clarifying.
I do have a question though, and something I wanted to bring up to the committee also. You all had decided that if an organization that was new and was still in that $10,000 or $15,000 allocation, because they haven't entered the 3-year rolling average yet, had spent more than that $10,000 or $15,000, they would be allocated the actual that they spent the year before. So I did that, and I just want to take you down and Shirley, I think I'm going to use Henrico. Where's Henrico?
Yeah, that's fine.
So I'm going to use Henrico, and I got to find it on my list. So if you look at Henrico, their EES, because this was your second year with EES, Shirley?
Yes.
So they spent, and I'm just going to use your actual. Your actual was 81,044. That's how much essentially they would get if following what you all had put in place last year. But then what happens is next year they go into that 3-year rolling average, and because their first year their rolling average is going to be 15,000, in some cases less because organizations didn't use that. It's going to bring that allocation way down. So something for us to think about how we address that over this course of the next year. So essentially, once they get into that allocation, that 3-year rolling allocation method, their allocation is going to go down because of what their first year was, how that was utilized. So we're going to have to think about that over this year and how we work with that. Because that same thing for career supports. Alan, this impacts you as well. It impacts a number of organizations.
Excuse me, this is Jim Fennerty. Can I ask a question?
Sure, Jim.
Okay, why was it so high in that year relative to 88 to 15? Was it due to COVID?
No, the higher allocations, the first year the organizations had the funds, it takes them a while to increase their capacity and use the dollars. But then the second year, they were up and rolling, and that was, these numbers were despite COVID-19. They probably would have maybe even been higher because they're providing more services this year.
I got you. Thank you.
Yeah, and I think for us, we were able to add more people to the, we identified more people in our enclaves that we wanted to add to EES. So we only add our group supported employment into EES. And so we were able to expand that this year as we explored and got into the system and understood what we were doing and that kind of thing. So the one thing I will say, Donna, that for some of the organizations, the impact next year will be not quite as high because we did overbill the 15,000 the first year and we're able to get paid for that. So while we didn't bill the 81,000, we did bill, I think 35,000 or something like that. And we're able to get paid for that because of the money that was left. So the impact will be lesser than if comparing 81 to 15. And for most of us that use that in that way, it was higher the first year because of that.
Right. What I'm also afraid though is that, say, I don't know, I don't have it in front of me and I didn't pull it up, but if you used 20,000 your first year, 80,000 your second year, and then 80,000 your third year, say, and I'm not going to be able to average that in my head right now, what is that, 160? 180 divided by 3.
60,000. 60,000.
Thank you.
Yes.
And now your allocation is 60,000, but you're already spending well over 80.
Right.
And we no longer have enough to reallocate.
Right.
That's my concern. Now, will that happen the next year? I don't know, because we still have, I mean, we were projected to have $1 million balance between both funds prior to COVID-19. So I don't know if we'll be spending all that money in the next year or two, but that's just something for us to think about and watch over the next year.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I'm just saying that for some organizations, the impact will be lesser than it would have been otherwise. So, but I think that's a good thing to let, the other ESOs know is, if we go with the higher allocation this year, that it could be, it won't necessarily mean next year will be exactly the same.
Right. Okay, so any other questions on the recommendation or the allocation methodology?
This is Chuck. Just a comment that obviously at the very end of the schedule, we can see new vendors in lettuce and one in both lettuce and EES. But in Shirley's case, it's really hard to pick that up the first year up off the schedule as it's presented. I don't know how many organizations that are in that same boat.
And yes, I can get that information to you. We can talk about that at the next meeting.
And I have another question.
Sure.
The third quarter you're using, the third quarter, we're still, are we projected at being fully open at that point? Because we're still not even close to fully open. And
this was the third quarter that ended this past February. So it was, yes, this was based upon that was prior to that end of February. So it was just prior to COVID-19.
All right, thank you. I thought it was the third quarter to come. Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right, any other questions or conversation around the proposal? Hearing none, I'd like to ask for someone on the committee to make a motion to approve the allocations based on third quarter projections as proposed by the Department of Aging and Rehab Services.
This is Chuck. I'll make the motion.
I need a second.
Joanne Aceto, I'll second.
All right, and then we need to vote. So let me find my piece of paper. Okay. Please indicate yay, nay, or abstain. Robin Metcalf,
Yay.
Jim Finnerty,
Yay.
Chuck McElroy,
Yay.
Alan Hargraves,
Yay.
Joanne Aceto,
Yay.
Megan Bergen,
Yes.
Teresa Hall,
Yay.
Chris Lavich,
Yay.
Jason Harper,
Yay.
and as chairperson, I also vote yay. The motion carries. All right, Donna, you want to keep going?
Sure. Thank you all. And we will get those allocations posted by, it's already July 21st, but the end of the month. And so, because as you all know, we only posted 25% to be able to have you all decide on the best way to move forward. Thank you. The next thing is the COVID-19 emergency relief funds. As you can see, we did give out about 1.5, a little bit more than about $1.574 million. We had everybody that asked for funds received funds. Most organizations received what they requested. We did have some organizations that did not receive what they requested. Some organizations requested funds that were either a lot more, weren't reflective of the people that they were serving in employment. We had some organizations that clearly asked for funding to utilize for other purposes. So organizations that may serve other types of, maybe it's day support, residential, school-based programs, and we're planning on using those funds towards that. And we didn't feel that we could justify giving out lettuce and EES funds for anything that was other than directly employment related. And we looked at the number of people that organizations were serving. So while everybody did receive funds, not everybody received what they requested. And these are the two rounds.
Any questions from the committee about this?
This is Chuck. Just a quick question. On both rounds, were the dollar amounts for a 2-week period? That was
4-week period.
for each one was a month period.
Yes. And I will say that we also had some organizations that requested funds for a longer period of time. So some of them, some organizations requested funds for 2 months at one time, and we had to prorate, I guess you could say, or look at that, and did not provide the full amount that was asked because of that. So that was another reason why some organizations didn't get their full ask.
Donna, is there going to be a requirement to report on the second round? I don't think I have gotten anything from you requesting how we spent that money. Is that going to be forthcoming?
Yes, I did say that last week on the ESO meeting, and I have not sent it out yet. But yes, you could use the form you already have, but I've started to get some that have trickled in, but I will send that out.
Thank you. Any other questions regarding this for Donna? Okay, I think, is that it, Donna, or you have one more thing?
No, I think I have one more thing a little bit further on in the agenda.
Okay, because it says update regarding provider rates. Is that?
Now, that was something that was asked for us to do, but that was before we had made the announcement that we were not adjusting rates for this fiscal year.
Ah, okay. Okay. All right. All right, thank you, Donna. We appreciate that update. And I think that means we will move on into the next agenda item, which is the lettuce EES policy effective April 1st, 2020. You were
Hey, Shirley, I'm sorry, I need to interrupt you for a second.
Sure.
The captioning has seemed to have moved to the chat box and is no longer on Zoom.
Okay.
So we need to get that back onto Zoom. I'm not sure how that's happened. Oh, wait, now I see it again on Zoom. Because it has not been on the YouTube stream. It's still not on the YouTube stream, but maybe we have to catch up on the YouTube stream. Oh, there we go. Okay.
Donna, the YouTube runs about 15 seconds behind.
Yeah, I got it now. Thank you.
Okay. All right, great. All right, so members of the committee received this in the email from Anita, and it is posted. My understanding is it is posted on the website. So is there any conversation or discussion? We had extensive conversation about this in January, made recommendations which were incorporated into the policy manual. So if any of the committee would like to speak to anything. I don't believe there's any action that we need to take today because we did work on this in January. Am I correct on that, Donna, Anita?
Yes, it was for review since we, the policy was developed after the recommendations were made to the commissioner. So this is just for your review. If there was any discussion that needed to be had, I wanted to make this available for the meeting.
All right, committee members, any conversation, discussion?
This is Jason. From the minutes from last time, it said on the last page that DARS will complete a deeper analysis surrounding the 70-hour per month minimum for lettuce EES and provide feedback to the committee. That DARS will conduct the analysis and present it to the committee at the next meeting. So I didn't know if there was any discussion or analysis of the 70-hour minimum.
Jason, we haven't done anything on that. Yeah, COVID-19 happened, everything kind of shut down. We just, yeah, so we have not done anything on that. And I think we probably would need to go back to a year because that's going to be significantly impacted because of COVID-19. So we have to look at how we can best analyze that and take into consideration this fiscal year. We might need to wait on that.
Shirley and Donna, I have a question on page 13. One of the activities that is listed as unacceptable is unemployment claims. And due to COVID, I believe that currently that is acceptable. Is there anything that we want to do about that item?
I think we need to leave it in there. We've only made that right now until the end of this year. If we were to go to change that, we'd actually have to go out for public comment. But we can offer an exception to that, okay. And that's kind of what we're doing. But I don't know if we want to change it permanently.
Okay, just want to make sure.
This is Chuck. If we double back to Jason's question, I guess looking at the EES production statistics, we're showing an average monthly hours worked of 78.3 hours.
Yes, and that's overall. The analysis that we typically do is per organization.
Right.
So having it that low is, it's right on the border, which means that some organizations are probably less and of course, some are more. But we can start to look at the best way to analyze that.
And I think since it was in our minutes from January, maybe if we could go ahead and put it on the agenda for October, then that would give us time to think about how to look at that. And maybe the October discussion is part of that. How do we evaluate based on the fact that from March on, most organizations were not providing, you know, in-house work opportunities. So
I think they can also, I mean, we still can look at how to, as a group, we can look at how to handle those situations in the future. We don't necessarily have to, I think it's good to have a plan moving forward. You know, if we ever can say post-COVID-19.
So is everybody okay with that, that we put that on the agenda for October as a discussion point? And if DARS has been able to do any kind of analysis, they can bring the statistics that they have to us, and then we can evaluate and make recommendations for policy changes at that point.
I agree. Just one more comment from the minutes last time. It was noted that 6 out of 17 vendors last year did not meet the 70-hour requirement. So I imagine that number, so that's 35% didn't meet it. So I imagine that number would only go up during COVID.
Right, and so that can be a point of discussion. If we look at the months not COVID related, then where are they at? That would be more, probably more applicable in terms of their overall activities.
We'd have to use the first 3 quarters.
Yeah.
We couldn't use the last quarter.
Yeah. All right, so Anita, will you please make sure that that gets on the agenda for October?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. All right, if there's no more discussion, we'll move on, and we did send out an email to the ESOSC committee membership to let you know this, but Sean Smith of the Virginia Goodwill Network had to resign from his position with the ESOSC. He submitted his resignation to Senator Mamie Locke, the chair of the Senate Rules Committee. Anita has been notified by that staff that they are looking at replacing that position on our committee. So we will await further word from the Senate Rules Committee on that appointment. Any discussion about that?
Shirley, do you remember what box Sean checked as far as Senate Rules, Goodwill Network?
We believe it was the Goodwill Network, and Anita, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe you told me you have reached out to Eldon and let him know that they may need to work with Senate Rules on that.
That is correct on both questions.
Any other questions or comments on the committee? Okay, moving right along. We move faster on an electronic version, I think, than we do in person. Commissioner Hayfield, we would love to hear from you.
Hello, everyone out there in virtual land. Great to be with you today. You know, one thing about this is we are moving faster, but that means we don't have any opportunity to socialize and just enjoy each other's company. But this too shall pass, and hopefully we'll be together in person in October. we'll see. So I just have a few things to chat about. I thought I'd bring you up to date a little bit on how the agency's doing in terms of COVID, and I'd sure like to hear some response from you all as well. I believe maybe 90+% of our employees are teleworking. Our field program is, you all know, working with you all, and we are not providing face-to-face services yet. And we don't see that we will be until probably more like September. But that too is still up in the air. You probably know from the meetings that Donna's been having, and I want to thank Donna for the webinars she's had every other week to provide you updates, as well as to hear from you about how services are going and what the gaps are and how to better connect. I think that's been a really useful tool, and I hope you do as well. We laid off or furloughed. We didn't lay off. We furloughed over 200 people at Wilson Workforce, a few people in the field, drivers, and we see bringing our workforce back in the fall at WWRC. That's been a real challenge, and it's similar to some of the challenges that our ESOs have who have on-site services. So I'd be interested to hear how you all are handling that. As you know, the General Assembly meets mid-August, August 18th, to talk about the budget, to talk about a number of different things, but the one that impacts us the most is the budget. We are expecting to have budget reductions of our state general fund, and you're reading the papers just as I'm reading the papers, but it's not as bad as we had originally anticipated. But we already know that we'll be looking at probably a 5%, 7% reduction in our state general funds. And we have latitude of how we'll manage that. So we'll do the best we can to limit those reductions so that they don't impact client services. And certainly we don't like to have any reductions that impact our federal drawdown. So that's what we'll be working on. I'm looking for advice from you all. As you know, with the relief program we did, our balance in lettuce and EES would have been around 1.6 million. Even before coronavirus and the pandemic hit us, we anticipate about $1 million cut reduction or balance, versus, I'm not used to using that because we used to talk about the shortfall all the time. So the balance, and this is a good time to start thinking about how we're going to spend those dollars, because we would hate to lose them. And it's a really bad time to have dollars that aren't being spent. Might be a time to think about bringing on new vendors. I know we have 3 or so who are waiting for allocations, who are on a waiting list. And I also would like to hear from you all as to your ideas of how we assure spending that $1 million that likely will be available if we don't do something now for the end of next year. That's probably it for now. Do you have questions of me?
It's Chris Lavish. Kathy, would you like us just to send you some ideas via email, or are we going to try to revisit this topic in this committee?
Is that an agenda item today? I can only see Commissioner's update right now on the screen.
The agenda item of how to spend the The balance, no.
Right.
It's not an agenda item today because we just started the fiscal year. I think it would be a good agenda item for October, or maybe even some conversation before then. But yes, if you have ideas, we can't start spending any of that dollars right away. We need to know what it's going to look like. We actually have seen an increase in billing. I know that I shared that with everybody last week on the ESO webinar. We actually are seeing an uptick now where we were back in May. So with people getting back to work, I think we're anticipating over the next few months, we're going to be providing a lot of service, and a lot of those funds are going to be spent, but we'll have a better idea. Actually, June, July, and August, at the end of August, we'll have a better idea of what that first quarter is going to look like. So early September, after all those bills are in.
So that would be a good gauge. So maybe it's an agenda item for October.
Okay, yeah, I think we can definitely add that. I would ask the committee if they want to offer the commissioner any thoughts, even though it's not an agenda item, it is part of her report that she's requested for information. So if anybody has any thoughts they want to throw out to the group at this point, I think it does fit into the in the current agenda.
It's Chris again. I would like to revisit a point I brought up in our last round of discussion. At the time, it was somewhat focused on the unbillable transportation for waiver clients in follow along. And we decided as a group, and probably wisely so, that that approach may spend too much money longitudinally. I wanted to see if there might be a way to revisit that, where we could do it maybe as a pilot or regionally, or looking at rural areas. I think, some of these clients that have been served by DARS and then are in waiver follow-along are some of our most challenging folks. Often they're in rural areas and they represent a factor of people that may become recidivists and actually be fairly costly if they're not able to maintain their jobs. I know that we as a service provider are going to have to limit our ability to go and serve some of these guys when we're eating sometimes 2 or 3 hours of unreimbursed travel to try to hit some of these rural places where we're trying to build capacity. I totally understand that we don't want to maybe put that right to travel, just maybe looking at an out-of-the-box way to look at it. Again, maybe dollars sent to a region, or to incentivize people to work in more rural areas, maybe limiting it to something like DARS clients that are in waivers, so it's not such a huge population. I just want to maybe have a conversation about that, because I think it represents a pretty big hole in services and will erode people's abilities to work with people in rural areas, and particularly if they're under waiver follow-on where travel is unreimbursed.
Thank you, Chris.
It's
Any
just
other?
Jason.
Yeah, go ahead, Jason.
So just to piggyback on that a little bit, and from the emotion that was made at the last meeting, we were going to use some of these funds to assist with capacity building in underserved areas.
Right.
And last year, DARS had a meeting in Norton, Virginia, to invite providers to the area. We're one provider that was not serving far southwest, but we are now. And it's my understanding that a lot of that area has taken services in-house. So the capacity that we built is not being sustained right now. And we've either had to furlough employees out there, or we're subsidizing salaries because the work has been taken in-house. And so, I just want to revisit, continuing to serve the underserved areas, whether it's far southwest or the northern neck of Virginia. I think a lot of providers would like to serve those areas, but economically it's not been sustainable for many of the ESOs.
Gotcha. And I believe that meeting last year that was held in the Southwest was specifically about pre-ETs, wasn't it? Or was it broader?
I believe
Joanne, it was pre-eds.
Oh, it was pre-eds, okay.
Mhm. But it's good input anyway, Jason. It's good for me to know. Thank you.
Since it happened since the last meeting, I personally would like to thank the commissioner and the DART staff for making the economic relief fund grants available to ESOs.
Making what, Chuck?
The economic relief fund grants available to ESOs.
It made sense. And we
Good
just
job.
did it.
Thanks.
So, yes.
Here, thank you.
Glad we could make it happen. How are things going for you all?
I don't mean to beat a dead horse with Chris and
So
Jason.
Kathy, oh, go ahead, Alan.
Yeah, we're serving the Danville, Hurt, Virginia, South Boston area. And I think Kathy, Chris, and Jason hit it on the head. It's just hard for a capacity level for us to hire any talent in the area and sustain it long term. A lot of service gaps in that area. So I agree with Jason and you, Kathy and Chris, as far as some type of initiative to get vendors out there so we can sustain and have services for a long period of time. I've had to furlough a few people myself in that area.
Yeah. Honestly, a long-term issue.
So Kathy, this is Shirley.
Appreciate those thoughts.
I would say to you that, one of the big concerns that we have from a supported employment standpoint is as we start slowly trying to see people more face to face and helping people figure out if they still have jobs or where their jobs are. I think one of the concerns we have is getting people reopened to the department if we have to go back out and do job development and do, help them find new jobs. We're anticipating at least 10 to 15% of our guys will have lost their jobs that we will need to get reopened. So figuring out how to streamline that process and get them back in fairly quickly so they're not sitting a long time and waiting for that job development piece would be something that we will be looking to DARS to help us with, because it is a current concern to my current employment specialists of how they're going to do a whole lot of job development and make sure that they're getting reimbursed from DARS for it at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Shirley, that's
Deacon Dunn
something.
are listening too.
Yes, and I was just say, Shirley, that's something that Anita and I can help with, and we've been thinking about how to do all that. We've heard that a few times now. We really need to work with our district director team and the best way to do that, because you're right. We need to start, but we also need to start getting those people in now, making those referrals now, not waiting. Because that will impact that. So we can certainly talk about the best way to do that. Yes, so let's connect after that and we can actually talk about a plan.
Okay.
This is Dee Dee. I would agree with Donna, because we probably can look at, they were working, they have skills, and it's just a matter of kind of getting them back into job development. So we may look at a different kind of track for those persons that go through. So that would be for any ESO at this point. And I say that because the middle of August, we're looking at possibly pulling off some of the SD. Donna made that comment last week in the meeting. So there's a couple of things going to be happening as we try to reopen, transition back to the service delivery. So the sooner we have this conversation and try to get some ideas on the board, that would be great.
Okay, well, thank you for the time on your agenda, and I look forward to future discussions.
All right, Kathy, thank you so much.
Thank you, Shirley.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, the next part on our agenda, Donna, is addition of new lettuce providers.
Yes, one of the additions that we made to the policy last year was the ability to decide on an annual basis if we would add new lettuce providers, lettuce and EES providers, based upon any perceived balances that we would have. Typically, we would have had this conversation in April, but we didn't meet in April. So we have 3 organizations that are currently waiting on the wait list and are CARP accredited. And I do need to confirm one organization, but they had been CARP accredited. I just need to make sure they still maintain it. Who were seeking lettuce funds. None of these organizations would be eligible for EES funds. They don't provide that service. And so given that our projected balance would have been about $1 million post or pre-COVID-19, we're making a recommendation to add on 3 new providers at an initial allocation of $10,000 apiece.
All right, thank you, Donna. Discussion from the committee?
Donna, can you provide any details on the 3 vendors? Name, area served, that type of
Actually, they're pretty well spread out. There's one in Northern Virginia, one in the eastern part of the state, and one here in Central. And they've all been providers somewhere between 2 to 3 years. And we're providing SE services.
I'm seeing about maybe 2 or 3 organizations that haven't billed any lettuce. One haven't billed any lettuce or EES dollars.
These are not on your lists, Alan. These are organizations that currently do not have an allocation at all.
Gotcha. We're looking at the allocations and a list of people that have been approved for an allocation. There's still some vendors that we talked about earlier that haven't billed at all. So is the methodology is like replacing these vendors?
No, these would be adding on 3 additional vendors.
This is Teresa. Can you name those vendors?
Sure. Employment Advocates, Brighton Gardens, and Opus Network.
You said that awfully fast.
Employment Advocates, Brighton Gardens, Northern Virginia. Brighton Gardens from Hampton Roads area. And Opus Network from the Richmond area, Central Virginia.
This is Jason. It's my opinion that if we have $1 million projected, or probably more, you let the 3 vendors get on at 10,000 apiece.
I agree, Jason.
I would agree with that.
Is there any other discussion with the committee before I ask for a motion?
No.
All right, Jason, do you want to make that a motion?
I'll make the motion. So I'd make a motion to allow the 3 vendors just discussed for lettuce funding at 10,000 apiece.
Second that motion.
Was that Alan?
Yes.
Thank you. All right, we have a motion on the table. So again, let me find my list. I put it away because I didn't think I needed it. There it is. Okay, sorry. Robin Metcalf.
Yay.
Jim Finnerty.
Yay.
Chuck McElroy.
Yay.
Alan Hargraves.
Yay.
Joanne Aceto.
Yay.
Megan Bergen.
Yay.
Teresa Hall.
Yay.
Chris Lavich.
Yay.
Jason Harper,
Yay.
and as chair, I also vote yay. The motion has passed. Donna, you have your orders.
Thank you.
All right, that brings us to the last item on the agenda, which is future meeting dates, upcoming agenda items and other business. We technically have a meeting scheduled for October 6th, 2020, and it will be determined closer to the date whether that will be an in-person meeting or a electronic meeting, depending upon the state of the emergency procedures that we're under at that time. Committee members will be made aware closer to that meeting date. We've had several conversations about upcoming agenda items, and I will rely on Donna or Anita to add those items per the minutes to the agenda next time. Is there any other business from the committee that they would like to bring up before this committee? Last chance. Okay, hearing none, I will ask that someone make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
This is Chuck, so moved.
A second?
Joanne, second.
Do we need to do a roll call for this?
Chuck always said you don't need a second to close the meeting.
Yeah, you really
According to Robert's rules.
Okay, well, I'm not going to do a roll call for this. I think that we can all agree that this will adjourn our meeting for today. I want to thank everybody for attending electronically. I specifically want to mention Anita again, of all the hard work she did prior to this meeting. I know there were other members on the call with her from the Department of Aging and Rehab Services who assisted her technologically, but I know Anita put in a lot of work in confirming our process and working with different people to make sure that we were able to do this, and that I had my little list of how to do this as the chairperson. So I want to especially thank her for all of her extra work that she put into this meeting.
Thank you, Anita.
And in case you did not see the chat, Chuck is offering Breadworks lunch. So if anybody wants to head to Charlottesville, just hit him up when you get there. So.
Thank you all.
All right. Thanks, everybody. I appreciate your time. See you in October.
Thank you all for your
See you later.
service.
Take it easy.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Everybody get off. Let's see. All right, so how do we stop the YouTube stream?
I just
Betsy, share. I think it's, no, I still see us. Maybe it's a couple minutes behind. I think we're done. I think it stopped. Okay, now we're seeing Anita on YouTube. Bye, Anita. I think it's done. Yeah. Okay. Let's do this. All right, Jimmy's still on. I can't get him to move. So remove. Okay. And it won't go. Why am I letting me do that? Here we go. Okay. Okay. So you're still on YouTube. I mean, stop the stream. It's like